PIAA AAA state championship. Over the past couple of years, college football's
In yesterday's semifinal, Berwick had their first true test against Middletown, but like a great team, they came back. Watch the great catch by Lance Avina to keep the winning drive alive. It's almost intercepted. Avina takes it off the top of the grass and gets the reception. Kelchner then plowed in a couple plays later for the winning score. That was with just under 4 minutes left. That final drive showed a lot of character, and they'll need character next weekend against Aliquippa. The Quips won their state semifinal over Bradford, 56-16. One college basketball score to report, top 20, Syracuse a winner in overtime over Louisiana Tech. And in New York, the world's best tennis
playing Aliquippa High School for the state AAA championship, the first ever state high school championship in football, and WNEP-TV will telecast it live starting at 1 p.m. Now, if the game is anything like last Saturday's win by Berwick in the semis, seen live here, it'll be something you won't want to miss. So Berwick High School goes for a state football championship this Saturday, but did you know that this week back in 1925, a team from Pottsville, PA won the National Football League championship, only to have it taken away in a shady deal a few days later. Maybe you don't remember when that happened, but here's the story. 1925. The NFL was in its infancy, an era of Ironmen players wearing woolen jerseys, leather helmets, and primitive spike shoes. A time for a unique team the small town of Pottsville, Pennsylvania called its own. And proudly because the Maroons, named for the color of their woolen jerseys, were one of the powers of the league. The Maroons were unique for teams of that time in one major respect, how they were brought together.
The Maroons were one of the first teams in the NFL to combine local talent with imported talent. And they had an excellent line, good running guards. They were one of the first teams in the history of the NFL to practice daily. Their coach made sure, his name was Dickie Rauch, who came out of Penn State. He made sure that the players were full-time football players between September and November.
Out of that group of imports came many greats of that time. Frankie Rachis, Charlie Berry, Tony Latone, and more. But as it seems with any exceptional team, one player stood above the rest as the dominant force behind success.
Duke Osborne was a fellow who wore white socks and never wore a helmet. He wore a baseball cap. And he was considered very rough and tough and sometimes a dirty football player. He was an excellent football player, loved the game, and he, in my opinion, was the standout, and most people remember Duke Osborne.
He led the team through a grueling regular season, defeating opponents from much larger cities, most of the time by lopsided scores. The Maroons ending up with an impressive 9 wins and 2 losses, good enough to put them up against the powerful Chicago Cardinals in the NFL title game at Chicago. Pottsville dominated that game, so much so the home crowd took up the cause of this team of imports from the small town in Pennsylvania, cheering them on to a 21-7 rout. The Maroons were the NFL champs.
The next week they played an exhibition game, which the NFL said was illegal, against the Four Horsemen, which included the original Four Horsemen backfield from Notre Dame. They beat the Four Horsemen 9-7.
But NFL politics would turn the dream season into a nightmare.
The Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, who became the Eagles, I believe, in 1933, they claimed the game violated their territorial rights. So the commissioner of the NFL, Joe Carr, ordered the Cardinals to play 2 extra games, since technically the season wasn't over. Nobody had any more games scheduled. But he ordered the Cardinals simply to play 2 more games, which officially made their record 11-2-1 compared to the Maroons 10-2. But it was one of the greatest travesties in the history of the NFL.
It's hard to believe that travesty remains a part of the history of a unique team of imported players that in that one year, 1925, made football history with many dedicated fans.
They had wonderful, wonderful rapport with the fans and the players. They were able to get real close to them, and you got to know them very, very, intimately. And it was a great time for Pottsville. So we were just heartbroken when they took it away from us.
You know, it's interesting. To this day, the NFL will not recognize the Maroons as the legitimate 1925 champs, even though the late George Halas, owner of the Bears, and Art Rooney, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the late Art Rooney, both recommended that the Maroons be given that 1925 championship and recognized as the champions in the NFL in 1925.
What a great story. And where'd you get those pictures? That's fabulous.
From a gentleman whose dad was involved with the Pottsville Maroons, and that was authentic stuff from back then.
That's good research. Good
See you
report,
later.
Tim. In a moment,
play Aliquippa for the state championship this weekend. J.J. Davis has that story and all the sports in the Weekend Wrap.
It starts in Bethlehem. Berwick showed what it's made of. The Bulldogs came from behind to beat Middletown 16-12 in the Class 3A semifinal.
I'm flabbergasted. We're 14-0 and still another week. So we got a challenge like you never believe next week.
There was a war in Philly. Army back.
The school's history, the AAA State Championship Showdown against Aliquippa this coming Saturday in Hershey Stadium. Kickoff time set for 1 p.m. Berwick won the AAA Eastern Championship last weekend, downing Middletown in a brilliant come-from-behind win in Bethlehem. One more win, the Dogs would finish 15-0, and they would be crowned AAA State champions. The high-powered Scranton Eagles continued to wrap up championship
7 days a week, and
I would imagine it's very consuming.
after a while, you just have to take a break. The Big 11 Football Conference now has 2 head coaching positions open after Lakeland head coach Dan Case submitted his resignation yesterday. Orlando, a defensive back, earned first-team honors along with Penn State's Eddie Johnson and the Syracuse tandem of Chris Ingram and Marcus Paul in that defensive backfield. Speaking of Berwick, the Bulldogs are preparing for Saturday's state championship showdown with Aliquippa at Hershey Stadium. Head coach George Curry still tickled to death over the way his club has played.
Well, they've done it all year. You know, when they had to do it, they've done it all year. And, you know, can't say enough about them. I'll tell you, I'm flabbergasted. We're 14-0 and still another week, so we got a challenge like you never believe next week. With this Aliquippa team, they're a great football team, but we'll be there.
And so will we. Complete coverage of the Bulldogs Championship Challenge reports all week long from both the camps. It is no great...
From Berwick, 7:30 on Friday night, and Mr. Schmidt is doing just fine financially tonight. Good evening, everyone. The tension continues to mount as we approach the first ever state championship in high school football. This Saturday in Hershey, the Bulldogs of Berwick take on Aliquippa for the 88 AAA title. 2 powerhouses meeting head-to-head for the biggest prize in high school football. The Bulldogs of Berwick arrived at this championship point with a brilliant 16-12 come-from-behind victory over Middletown last weekend. It's a chance to challenge for it all, and that's what the Dogs wanted all along.
Just to be in a position we're in, to represent the area, I mean, you can't explain it, and if we win it, it will be, I mean, the words will never describe it. I mean, it's something that you got to pinch yourself, but we're in a great position. First of all, we're in a position to win it. The opposition will be a definite problem, for Aliquippa is one of the top-ranked teams in the country. Like Berwick, this program is steeped in tradition.
We're a no-nonsense kind of a coaching staff. We expect if you want to play for Aliquippa and you want to play in this program, you're going to give us everything that you have to give. You're going to be loyal, you're going to be committed, and you're going to be a team player as opposed to being an individualist. That's what we expect, and that's what we get.
Aliquippa is anchored by one of the top high school football players in the country, and Sean Gilbert, 6'6" and 270 pounds.
We have so much potential on the team, you know, and they just pointed out one player.
The Bulldogs of Berwick and Aliquippa for the state AAA championship this weekend. More on the Dogs tomorrow night. The local high school exhibition season gets underway in basketball later this week.
If not for the dramatic performance of their quarterback Jake Kelchner against Middletown last weekend. As Chuck Howard tells us tonight, Big Jake is this week's athlete of the week.
In Denver, Bronco fans call it the drive. And in Berwick, Bulldog fans, well, call it the drive also. A 77-yard, 12-play beauty engineered by Dog quarterback Jake Kelchner late in Berwick's 16-12 win over Middletown Saturday. The result of the drive, the winning touchdown by number 7.
The only thing that was really going through my mind then is that we had to score, you know, any possible way we could. We had to put the ball in the end zone. Everybody on the line knew that. They did a great job.
Kelchner also added Berwick's only other touchdown in the first half Saturday, a 12-yard run, a run only few could make.
Besides having a great arm, besides having good speed, he's tough. Jake's a tough kid. He's a hard-nosed kid.
No doubt the quarterback position is the highest profile position on a football team, but Kelchner prefers to keep a low profile on and off the field, and in Jake's case, it's his play actions that simply speak louder than words.
If you're going to be cocky to other kids, you know, it's just going to make them mad and make them play harder than they already are, you know? And they're just going to come after you harder and harder, and I don't need that.
Jake Kelchner of Berwick, our Athlete of the Week. I'm Chuck Howard with you in Berwick for News 22 Sports.
Auburn defensive tackle Tracy Wright.
It was the first order of business in what is ranked as a third-class city of just under 16,000. So where is Aliquippa, named for an Indian queen? Well, it's way out there in Beaver County. For some points of reference, 18 miles northwest of Pittsburgh and 275 miles west of Berwick. What you see over there used to be the heart and soul of Aliquippa, the big steel mill. Up until about 10 years ago, just about everybody in town worked there, but those days are long gone. Under 1,000 people work there now, and that's really ruined the economy of Aliquippa. So it's no surprise that the biggest source of pride is the football team.
We need it here. Just a little boost in this town. The morale has been down. Unemployment. But we're going to have a good team on that field. I hope you guys give us a good game, but we win.
We didn't have nothing else to cheer about but that team, because this team brought the community together in Aliquippa, black, white. And I don't care what kind of race, but this town is stand behind their team all the way.
You can drive around town and see banners on homes and businesses and hear stories of football team support from folks who know all about Aliquippa, even though they don't live here.
Despite the fact that a lot of people are unemployed in this area, they donated $70,000 almost as boosters to the football club, the Booster Football Club.
They'll see you on the street and they'll come and talk to you about the game. You know, tell you have a big game this week. You know, they'll all be there to support you. You know, it's a good feeling to know that not only the school but the entire town is behind you.
Sure, this is an economically hurting city with unemployment at an all-time high, but it's hard to find anyone who's not proud of the high school football team and how it's making things in Aliquippa a little easier to bear.
These folks still have the same pride and enthusiasm about competitive sports because they realize the values it has for young people. And like Berwick, they've had their economic problems, but I think that the slogan here is the same slogan you've got back in your community in Berwick, and that is, tough times don't last and tough people do.
For sure. You know, everybody was very nice out there yesterday. I still like the folks in Berwick and around here the best, though. There's no place like home. More on the Aliquippa football team tomorrow. I see.
14-0 and ranked number 2 in the country by USA Today. As Chuck Howard tells us tonight, the Bulldog players feel they have the advantage because they're tougher than anyone else on both sides of the football.
One statistic that isn't measured in a scorebook but is generally reflected on the scoreboard is guts. One thing this Berwick club has plenty of. They were outsized against Middletown, and they were even behind twice, but guts will win it for you every time.
They're a really tough team. They're probably the toughest team we faced all year. They're really strong defensively, and boy, they stuck us good.
Nowhere was the toughness of this club more evident than on the defensive side of the ball. The Middletown offensive line outweighed Berwick's defensive front by almost 20 pounds per man. But the Raiders managed just 187 total yards.
The attitude of our kids, more or less, you know, everybody wants to win, and we aren't out for glory. We're just there to play and win the game. I mean, you know, we're all friends and everything, so we aren't upset about the offense getting all the fame, you know, so just, you know, winning attitude.
If there's one word to describe your defense, what would it be?
We're quick. We're very quick, and I don't know, everybody's quick. We got, you know, fast guys. Everybody surrounds the ball.
Aliquippa, currently riding over a 20-game win streak, will obviously be Berwick's biggest test of the year. But confidence isn't lacking in Berwick either.
We're going to have to play a tough game. They're a tough team, but I think we can stick it to them.
Based on physical talent, Saturday's matchup looks fairly even. But the difference should be the talent that comes from inside. I'm Chuck Howard with you in Berwick for First News Sports.
More on Berwick at 6:20 along with
the battle this weekend, the showdown between two unbeaten clubs with brilliant tradition, Aliquippa and Berwick. The The 14-0 Dogs are ready for the battle of the year. There is no question that Aliquippa will be the toughest team that the Bulldogs of Berwick have faced in years. Generally speaking, they have no weaknesses, and they are very big.
Their offensive line is humongous. You know, the right side goes 6'6", 268, 6'6", 265, and 6'5", 215. So it's pretty big.
Berwick has faced the challenge before. They go in with a quiet confidence gained through competition under fire. Quarterback Jake Kelchner has led the way all season long, and he looks forward to the challenge.
Well, it's probably the biggest thing that's happened here in a long time. It's the first ever state championship, and we have a good chance of winning it. But we're going to play a really, really good team from Aliquippa. They're really quick, they're really fast and strong. They got some great players, too.
Wide receiver Lance Avina brought his club back in the Middletown game after fumbling the second-half kickoff to set up Middletown's go-ahead touchdown. Avina came back in a big-time way to help set the stage for this weekend's championship shot.
Yeah, it definitely is special, and we're all looking forward to it. Everyone's practicing hard, and we're just looking forward to it.
The Bulldogs of Berwick have won more football games than any other team in school history, and the chance to play for the first ever state championship is special.
It's a great honor to be here, state championship. We already won the Eastern Conference, but it's just a great honor to be here.
And you have a chance to go against another outstanding football team. It's one more challenge for the Dogs of Berwick.
Yeah, that's the way we're approaching it, as just one more game, and it's going to be the biggest game of the year, and just hope we can pull it off.
Berwick and Aliquippa for the AAA state championship in Hershey Saturday afternoon. We'll have more on the game later tonight.
Family.
Hi, we're the marching band from Berwick Area Senior High School, home of the Bulldogs, and we'd like to say, good morning, Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania!
Proud to serve Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania. Good
morning. Temperatures now are in the upper teens and 20s.
I'd like to say, good morning, Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania! Let's go, Dogs!
Proud to serve Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania. This.
Thank you, Craig. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, this afternoon, the Dogs of Berwick will conclude their training for tomorrow afternoon's championship clash against Aliquippa with a light workout. Now, it culminates a week of intense training, looking at game film, running and rerunning plays, rechecking, and then rerunning the same plays once again. Though it's a lot of preparation for the Dogs, it's the focal point of commitment. I talked to Curry about that commitment yesterday.
And, there's nothing to put 8 hours a day after school. The field house is open every day of the year up until 9 o'clock at night. We extend the youngsters the opportunity to lift weights, develop their strength, develop confidence, and learn the game of football. So we have the type of young man, Jay, I think, who's willing to pay that price and make the commitment because they want to be good football players.
And good they are. Along with their 14-0 record, the Dogs are the Wyoming Valley champion and the PIAA Eastern Conference titleist. No easy task. Now, Saturday, they'll play in the final 48 minutes of the football season, 1988. It's what they've waited for since the early part of August. Now, Aliquippa and Berwick have more in common than just football. Both towns, for example, have been seeing better days economically, and both towns are basically blue-collar. It's almost a mirror image, as we find out in this report from Newswatch 16's Tim Carlson.
No doubt about it, they are crazy about their quips here in Aliquippa. Fan support of the Western Pennsylvania AAA champs is the first order of business in what is ranked as a third-class city of just under 16,000. So where is Aliquippa, named for an Indian queen? Well, it's way out there in Beaver County. For some points of reference, a high school football championship Berwick against Aliquippa, and WNEP-TV will telecast it live at 1 p.m. and WARD Radio 1550 AM will carry the audio portion of the telecast for those of you who can't be near a TV. Don't miss that one tomorrow. Berwick and Aliquippa for the first ever state AAA high school football championship. And this afternoon, the kids in Berwick getting cranked up for the big one tomorrow in Hershey. A major pep rally at the high school, and Joe Zone was a feature attraction.
If it's possible to win a football game in a gymnasium, Berwick's a lock tomorrow. The whole school was there this afternoon, an old-fashioned pep rally. Screaming students, gushing guests, and plain old pride in the accomplishments of a high school football team about to play for a state championship. Not a place to be picayune about your loyalties. This is Bulldog country. Be there or be square. For me, the choice was clear. Aliquippa is them, Berwick is us. From Bulldog country, Joe Zone, Newswatch 16 Sports, Berwick.
By the way, Joe will be here on Newswatch 16 Sports in an hour with the game matchup between the...
There's the dog strangling the quip. You can take that tomorrow.
Wait, you have to show it.
Yeah, I know.
There you
Show
go.
it? Okay.
Thank you.
It looked nice in the white. I bet they saw that. It does not say quips. It says dogs. Okay, hey, look, they've never played for a state championship before. These people just don't know how to act. And I guess I don't know how to act either. At Berwick High School a little earlier this afternoon, a student pep rally, and tonight, a bonfire as the town comes out in full for the dogs. The Bulldogs and the Quips, the two best football teams in this state, and I don't care what the people in 4A think. Tim Carlson went to Aliquippa to find out how the Bulldogs stack up against the super team.
Aliquippa, ranked number 2 in the country by the USA Today newspaper and first in many statewide polls. With all that talk around, you might think the Quips are cocky and confident about beating Berwick.
Why should we be any more cocky or confident about what we were able to do well than Berwick? I mean, they were the mythical national champions in 1983. They're currently 14-0. They carry as much aura about themselves in the eastern part of the state as we do in the western part of the state. If anybody's cocky coming into this game, I hope it's them, because I know it won't be us.
We like the role we're going to be in. We like to be in the underdog role. We've never, it's something new to us. And of course, you know, they're ranked very high in USA Today and all the national polls. And like I told our fellas, I said, hey, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Both teams overflow with talent. Berwick has several top-notch college prospects led by record-breaking quarterback Jake Kelchner. Aliquippa's media releases list 7 players headed for Division I colleges and universities. But the guy at the top of the blue-chip Quip list has to be linebacker Sean Gilbert, who also doubles as an offensive guard and is literally the biggest man on the team.
He's 6'5" 3/4". He's 271 pounds. He runs a 4.8 40, which is awful quick for that kind of physical stature.
Neither team had any problem scoring points this year. Berwick with 507 in 14 games, Aliquippa with 421.
They score a lot of touchdowns, just straight bombs. They take off and they throw the bomb.
We do have those big plays because we have big play guys on our offensive scheme. You know, we have great deep threat receivers, and we have running backs that can break it.
Everybody talks about Berwick's great offense, about the fact we've scored 430 or 40 points, whatever it is. But we've only given up, I think it's 84 points on the year, and they've only given up 70-some points on the year. That's where you win, and that's where you get to the state championship game.
The folks who make up those national and statewide polls may have an edge going to Aliquippa in tomorrow's game, but both teams aren't paying much attention to that stuff.
We don't walk into any game thinking it's that easy. You know, we take every opponent in stride. We never let up.
When you play high school kids, it's all between the ears, and you know, whoever wants it the most that day we'll probably win the game.
Tim Carlson, Newswatch 16 Sports.
State championship game, 1 o'clock tomorrow in Hershey. You can see it here live on 16, and if you're out in the car, you can hear it on WARD radio. And let us not forget Bethlehem.
Body rocking as everyone danced in unison to Kool and the Gang's celebration song, something they hope to be doing tomorrow night. Good luck to the Bulldogs of Berwick. The Scranton-Wilkes-Barre
It's amazing what a football team can do. And it is a team. It's not my son, and it's not the quarterback, and it's not whatever position they're playing. It's just wonderful.
All the negative things we've had come up the last couple of years with the, the fires, the murders, all the negative things people hear about Berwick. This is something we can say put us together and brought us together as a town.
After some 4 hours of this party in the street, the team had not arrived. Police say bad roads were to blame. The crowd thinned, but not the spirit. People here say this is the best Christmas present they could have asked for. Melissa Sander, Newswatch 16, Berwick.
Thank you, Melissa. What else can we say tonight besides how about them dogs? Live here on Channel 16, the Berwick Bulldogs won the AAA state championship over Aliquippa. The name of the game in the first quarter, defense, first play of the game. Dante Frank for Berwick goes through a big hole but coughs up the football. Aliquippa recovers with good field position. They ran 3 plays. Then they had to punt themselves, or they tried to punt. Bad snap. Berwick, Eric Bauer recovers on the 29-yard line, and the Dogs in good shape, but the defenses came through again. Quips come right back with the D, number 62, Sean Durham. He sacks Jake Kelchner deep in Berwick territory, and there was no score after 1 quarter. Second quarter, Bulldogs on the board. Jake Kelchner to Lance Avina for the 21st time this year. This one goes 20 yards for the touchdown. Berwick led 7-0 at halftime, and Kelchner and Avina, what a great combination. Big play in the third quarter now. Jake Kelchner's brother, Joe Kelchner, back to punt for Berwick on 4th down, and he gets the kick away, but he is roughed by 2 Aliquippa players. That's an automatic first down for Berwick, and they get the ball. That kept the drive alive, and Berwick cashes in. Kelchner to Avina again. This one from about 21 yards. Watch the great second effort by Lance Avina. Gets hit by a few players, but gets into the end zone. Berwick knocks off the supposed second-ranked team in the country. And Sports Watch 16's Jake Christopher caught up with Coach Curry and Lance Avina after the game to talk about the great finish to an unbelievable year.
Lance, catching your breath now, first of all, congratulations. And you, George, congratulations. 2 big league plays. First period, you caught that pass, went about 18 yards or so. What was it like out there that you remember, and what exhilaration did you have after it was over?
The first play was doing a hook, and me and Jake had a read on, so he bit, and we just flew, and Jake got the ball there. The second one, I was doing a slant in, and saw the opening, and Jake just put the ball in there.
Coach, about Avina's 2 plays.
Lance Avina does the unbelievable. I said it about 50 times this year, and I think everywhere he's gone, he's proved that he's not your average receiver. He's not even your above average receiver. He's in another league, this guy. I mean, he had about 65 catches this year, well over 1,200 yards, 2 more touchdown passes. That gives him 22 touchdowns for the year. I mean, I tell you what, I mean, if you saw him, you look at him, he looks like a little choir boy, but I'll tell you what, he's the best. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen in high school football.
Well, certainly he sang a great song today.
Oh, hey, he's unbelievable. I'll tell you what, his name will long live in infamy in Berwick football, believe me.
And I guess about the broken hand with Kelchner. Not too many people knew that, but he did indeed play a great game with that busted left hand.
Well, Jay, you and I talked in the middle of the week, and he didn't take a snap till Friday. He broke 2 knuckles on his left hand, and it was really painful. He was in pain the entire game, but he's a competitor. Jake Kelchner's a competitor. Lance Avina, our whole football team is competitors, and we're just the type of team that refuse to to give up. I don't care what the odds were against us. Started from the beginning of the year and right down to this game. We've overcome bigger teams, higher ranked teams, you name it. And it's the type of kid we have. You know, the Lance Avinas, the Jake Kelchners, the Dave Forces, Joe Donnellys. I mean, right on down the line. They're unbelievable.
If you had to give credit where credit is due, where would that go, Lance?
To Coach Curry for a great coaching job.
What did he teach you out there?
Everything.
Everything. So congratulations, George. Congratulations, Lance. Great job.
Okay, some great emotion there in Berwick. Why not? AAA state champs, the final 13-0 over Aliquippa Berwick. 15-0 this year. And how about Bethlehem Catholic, our second-ranked team in the Super 16? They come away with a AA state championship, 26-11 over Wilmington. Congratulations to those two teams. In the NFL today, there was...
And let me tell you, all those doubters out there have been laid to rest. The Bulldogs, how about them dogs?
You tell them, Lee. How about them? Now, this was the scene in Berwick tonight. The whole town was out. The Bulldogs, state champs, got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The victory bells are ringing in Bethlehem. Becca High won the Class 2A title, scoring a convincing 26.
The AAA state champion high school football team. Today, the kids went back to school after a holiday to celebrate Saturday's win over Aliquippa. And as Newswatch 16's Bob Costantini explains, team spirit was more than obvious.
They were dancing today at Berwick High School, though this is a square dance exercise for gym class. But soon the students might be dancing to the Berwick Bulldog Rap, as written by assistant football coach John Pruitt.
The Berwick Dogs is who they be with the championship spirit of '83. Remember the team of '88? They finished up #1 in the state. It's over. It's finished. It's finally done. The game was played, and we have won. The Quip showed up and met their fate. They know who's #1 in the state.
This is the first day back after the big win. Berwick area students were given the day off yesterday. As you might expect here in this study hall, the game is the hot topic.
It was a great win. Like, everybody thought we weren't going to win, but we did. It's a good outcome.
And it may be hard for these students to think about school.
This week, and we just won the state championships, and then you come back to school and it's like the everyday thing.
The school halls show signs of support for the team and a true love for football in this area, a love which starts even before high school.
6th grade, I went to all the games, and this year I only missed one game.
High school brings a lifetime of memories, but for the players especially, this is the greatest.
Can anything in the school year top this? You're a senior. I mean, you have to graduate, you have a prom and all that stuff.
Nothing at all. It's like the biggest excitement that we had, and nothing will top this at all.
As we can see here in the hallway, this school is no stranger to football championships. Well, now they'll have to make room for another banner. Only this one will say 1988, and it will say state champions. Bob Costantini, Newswatch 16 at Berwick Area High School.
I really like that rap song. We got to come up one for, for Newswatch 16. What's coming up at 6? Nolan and Karen.
The team they beat, who is ranked #2,
Sure.
nowhere to be found now
Isn't that
after the loss on Saturday. If you expected the Berwick Bulldogs to be ranked #1 in the country by USA Today following their state championship victory over Aliquippa on Saturday, it was nothing more than very wishful thinking, although the Bulldogs are now ranked in the publication's top 25 at #15. Aliquippa, meanwhile, ranked #2 last week, as we said, is nowhere to be found after losing to the Dogs 13-zip. Now, from the USA Today to our final coaches poll rankings, where from week #2, Berwick was voted our #1 team by a panel of area high school football coaches. Lakeland did hold the #1 spot in the preseason rankings. So, with a state championship under their belts and a perfect record of 15-0, the Dogs are the #1 team in our final coaches poll. So, checking it out, Berwick at #1, followed by Bethlehem Catholic, Pocono Mountain, East Stroudsburg, and Tunkhannock in at #5. 6 through 10, Dallas, Southern Columbia, Loyal Sock, Riverside, and Troy. Congratulations to all those clubs. Oklahoma State running back and Heisman Trophy winner Barry Sanders has captured another award to place in a very crowded trophy case. Today, the star running back was named the winner of the Maxwell Award as the nation's #1 player. Sanders' stats this season include over 2,600 yards rushing and 39 touchdowns. The Cleveland Browns' playoff chances took a turn for the
in the state, according to the Pittsburgh Press, which is kind of interesting, I think, and they also get the national attention today. USA Today, the same newspaper that ranked Aliquippa #2 in the country last week, has made Berwick #15. Aliquippa is out. Some people might think the Bulldogs deserve more recognition than that, but Coach George Curry says, hey, 15 is just fine.
Well, it's got to help. I mean, it's got to sink in a youngster's mind that, hey, I want to be part of that next year and the year after and the year after. And in fact, even after the game, little kids, I mean, 5, 6, 7 years old, coming up getting autographs from the kids and talking to the players and coaches, they can't wait till the day that they get in that uniform.
Berwick's incredible season, capped by this past weekend state championship, prompted Berwick assistant John Pruitt to put together the Bulldog Rap.
The Berwick Dogs is who they be with the championship spirit of '83. Remember the team of '88? They finished up #1 in the state. It's over. It's finished. It's finally done. The game was played, and we have won. The Quip showed up and met their fate. They know who's #1 in the state.
All right. That is the Bulldog Rap, or as one viewer would like to call it, the Berwick Wrap It Up Already. Will you, Joe? He writes, so Joe, okay, it was Berwick's year, so shut up about it. They are not a dynasty. They are not infallible. George Curry isn't the high school coaching guru of all time, and any good team from this conference that is representative in a playoff will go all the way. Give our region some credit, Joe. There are a lot of good teams and a lot of good football being played in our region. We don't have to brag about Berwick winning the state title to make everyone know it for sure. And it comes from R. Dwayne Elvidge of Peckville, which happens to be Valley View country. Even in Berwick's finest moment, some no-brainer wants to take a shot at them. They're state champions, for crying out loud. They've done a lot for their town, and I'll talk about them and their successes all I want, thank you. And if you don't like it, move to Aliquippa, because I am sure they are not quite so noisy there today. All right, I've got a deal for you. You can have all of the quarterbacks in the NFL spend more time with the football team this year, just trying to regroup and rebuild. Well, the job got a little easier because that quarterback battle at Penn State next year is a little less crowded. That's because Lance Lonergan has decided he's had enough of college football. He has a year left of eligibility, but he's not going to use it. He'll graduate and go on to graduate school. Lonergan, you remember, started midway through the season after Tom Bill went down with an injury, and after freshman Tony Sacka started a few games. Lonergan was looking at another battle this coming spring with both Bill and Sacka. Wide receiver Michael Timpson is also going to bail out on his final year of eligibility. Timpson's going to try his luck in the NFL draft. Well, they're trying to tell me this is the first time the Sports Star this week, a lineman, Tom Tidy, made one more trip to Berwick carrying another Sports Star plaque.
Jake Kelchner, Lance Avina, and Danny Frank. 3 guys that helped Berwick win the state championship. 3 guys that got most of the publicity. Now, meet Chris DePippa, our Sports Star of the week.
Back to pass. Mike looking. Mike, look out. He's wrapped up in the arms of Chris DePippa.
This season, DePippa was the anchor on Berwick's incredible offensive and defensive lines. He was also the only senior.
Being the only senior, like you said, it kind of worried me at first, but we worked together a lot in the off-season and lifted, and once the season rolled around, we all came together, and it was really like we're all seniors on the line after that. There was really no leader.
One of Chris's duties in Saturday's state final was to control one of the most sought-after linemen in the country, 6'5", 270-pound Sean Gilbert. And Chris did just that.
It wasn't like blocking an ordinary guy. I mean, he was really tough to block. Big kid, strong. It was hard to move him, but we did it.
He is the most domineering lineman we ever coached. And we've had kids go to Division I schools and play in bowl games and so forth and so on. And I will say this, if you watch him on film, both sides of the ball, he is the most domineering lineman to play here. The best thing, the best thing that can describe what I'm saying about him was last week in the Middletown game, he come out for a play, he staggered off the sideline, he broke his nose. Well, it took him one play on the sideline to see clear. He went back into the football game, and for the next 2.5 quarters, totally dominated a youngster that weighed about 265.
To Berwick High School's Chris DePippa. Chris, for being the anchor on the offensive and defensive line all season and doing the great job last Saturday against Aliquippa, the WNEP TV Sports Star of the Week. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Tom Tidy, Newswatch 16 Sports in Berwick.
All right, maybe last night, maybe
Bald Eagles, and we're in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. And we'd like to say good morning, northeastern and central Pennsylvania.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania.